Welcome to the Motivate Podcast with Clint Armitage. We are trying to provide Christian motivation one show at a time. And the next one starts right now. All right. Thanks for coming back, everybody, to hear another Message Motivate podcast. I'm your host, Clint Armitage, and today's podcast is part 2 of a 2-part series entitled Mission Mapping. So in the last episode, part 1, we spoke about the 2 different types of missions. One's an eternal mission and one's an operational mission. And that's more temporal. And then we finished off step 1 out of a 6-step process to figure out how to discover your God-given mission. So step 1 was entitled Asking God, basically about your mission. And we do this through prayer and through reading the Bible. Okay, so now we're on to step 2. So we're just going to go ahead and move right in. Step 2, asking others. So Proverbs 15:22 says this: plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. So, seek out advice from all the mature Christians that you know and trust. Ask them what they believe your gifts are and what strengths you possess. Okay? And then finally, ask them what they think you would be great at doing. Not only good at doing, but actually great at doing. Then what you're going to do is you're going to gather the consensus and then compare the results to your own personal thoughts and then also whatever God has spoken or shown to you. All right, you should be able to see some overlap, and you should be able to see that everybody's kind of pointed in that similar direction. Okay, so that'll kind of be a starting point. All right, so that's step 2. Now we're on to step 3, logistics and circumstances. Proverbs 21:30 says this: there is no wisdom, no insight, no plan that can succeed against the Lord. So regarding logistics, set up your plan to mirror God's plan. Okay, that verse that I just read is very straightforward. It's basically saying that you can't outthink, outmaneuver, or go around God's plan and still think you're going to be successful in completing your mission. All right, so you must follow God's plan. There is no other way to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be super, super frustrated, and you're going to continually face obstacles that you can't conquer. So believe me, I've done it plenty of times in the past, and I regret doing that. So I want you to avoid that. All right. So remember, God is the boss, and you have to run things by Him to constantly know what you're supposed to do to have Him help you navigate your mission. All right. Okay, in regards to circumstances, we go to 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. It says this: rejoice always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. All right, so Paul is giving us a hint that you won't be able to control all the circumstances, but God is in full control. So don't waver. Just work on staying grateful for where you are and what you're learning, and then what you're getting out of the process, okay? Because God doesn't give us everything. He gives us just enough to keep us moving forward. Paul actually speaks about this when he was addressing the Greeks in Athens, all right? He was talking to them about the unknown God. It's in Acts 17, and it's verses 26 through 28. This is what it says: from one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth, and he marked out their appointed times in history and the boundaries of their lands. God did this so they would seek Him and perhaps reach out for Him and find Him, though He is not far from any one of us. For in Him we live and move and have our being. As some of your poets have said, we are His offspring. All right, so we got to keep reaching for Him because God is close and He'll continue to lead you to your appointed mission's destination. I mean, it says it right there. He appointed times in history and boundaries of their lands. So He put you in this, not only this time, this era, but He put you in specific circumstances at the exact times for you to act or do something during those circumstances. All right. And then He's put you in the boundaries of these lands. So meaning you are where you're supposed to be. And if you go off and you pray, God will lead you back, okay? If you're sincere about it, He'll lead you back like He did Jonah, but obviously Jonah was a little hard-headed, so it took a little bit more for him. But so God has already appointed all these circumstances to happen around you and for you. You just need to keep your eye open to these circumstances and then jump on the opportunity if God is opening the door to them, okay? All right, so on to step 4, which is entitled Gifts and Talents. Now, 1 Corinthians 12:4-6 says, there are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit distributes them. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but in all of them and in every one, it is the same God at work. Okay, so we all have different gifts, but it's for one purpose, one eternal mission. It's to glorify God and serve God. Now, your gifts are going to keep showing up to you as you experience life, from when you're a little kid all the way through an adult. So for me, my most recognizable gifts that I've recognized over time is in teaching, training, or using my hands. Now, they come to the forefront pretty quick when I do anything that involves teaching, training, or using my hands. It's very clear because it's not too difficult to identify, because it doesn't take much effort for me to do it well whenever I'm using my gifts. And the results were always very positive from peers and other people around each time those gifts were deployed. Okay, so I flourish whenever I train people, especially if it's a heavy tactile or hands-on training. All right, so I want you to think about what you do best, and it shouldn't take much effort to do. Okay, also I want you to notice that when you do it, it shouldn't feel like you're using a lot of energy. It should be opposite. It should feel like it's energizing you whenever you are using your gifts. Okay, so now with that, passion or gifts, and then we're going into passions here, but we're going to take a test first. And I call this the 5 for 5 passions and gifts test. Now, this test draws out initial connections to your passions and gifts, and the answers are going to be used as a starting point to identify potential directions for your mission. Okay, it's 5 questions and 5 answers. That's it. And I'm going to list them here, but what you're probably going to have to do is re-listen to the podcast again when you have time. And then what you should do is just jot them down and then complete the questions when you have more time to do that. Then once you have all your answers, you should have a direction to start moving. Okay. All right. Here's the first question. Question number 1. What is something you do that comes naturally or easy to you? Question number 2. What is something you do that others positively comment on, inquire about, or come to you for? Question number 3. What is something you do that energizes you before, during, or after you complete it? Question number 4. What things or ideas energize you and keep drawing your attention to find more information about? And then question number 5. What things or ideas do you think about, do, or study, even while on vacation or when idle or bored? All right. What things do you do or think about? Okay. All right. So that's all 5 questions. So once you've jotted the questions and actually had time to answer it, come back and I want you to compare all the answers that God has previously spoken to you and shown you with these answers, and then what the mature Christians in your life has said to you, and then what has continually resurfaced in your mind about your mission. Okay, I want you to use all that information, and then with that, you should be able to identify at least one thing that you believe can be placed on your mission map. One mission should be able to be identified. Okay, with your gifts and talents, your passions, everything that everybody's spoken to you about, compare all those things, the answers to the questions there, and that'll be that. So that's step 4. So step 5, using your passion. Now, everyone at least gets a hint of their mission by identifying their passions, okay? Because passions are pretty easy to identify. You can kind of feel passion, right? And passion can lead you toward your mission, but you need to test it. See, because passion is a feeling and can be a feeling. So you can be led astray by feelings. We all can. Feelings can lead us astray. So you need to test all your passions. Now, some passions are not connected to your gifts, or they're not even connected to your operational mission. You can have passions that are not connected to your gifts. So stay mission focused and focus on passions that are connected to your gift. Don't get sidetracked by your passions, letting them lead you off track here. Okay? All right, that was step 5. Now we're on to step 6, which is the final step. It's mission mapping. Now, there's a lot of different versions of mapping, okay? Vision mapping, dream mapping, but an operational mission map is designed to help narrow the focus of your God-given mission. So I've created a mission map for you to complete, okay? Once it's completed, it lays out a clear and direct route to follow in order to complete your mission. So it's designed for one mission at a time. And you can get a free PDF copy of this. It's called an Operational Mission Map. You can get it from our website, ClintArmitage.com. Go to the resource tab, and then you can fill out the request form, and it'll be emailed to you instantly. All right. So fill that out, and then I pray that you get on your mission. You'll be hot on it. I know you will. So that's our show for today, and I pray that you find your P3, your passion, performance, and purpose. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Motivate Podcast with Clint Armitage. If you want to get in touch, email us at info@ClintArmitage.com.